Trade facilitation is one of the most high-impact uses of aid for trade. The private sector can be a great partner in that the private sector has great insight into local barriers. For example, getting automotive parts across the border requires not only clearance of the automotive parts themselves, but also clearance of the wooden pallets on which they're transported, and hence a whole set of phytosanitary requirements which one wouldn't normally associate with the movement of machine parts.
We're based in East Africa, and the costs of trade are about 40–50% higher than Europe and the US. The big improvements that I think have happened, very heavy reduction in the time it takes to get a container from the port of Mombasa, say for example to Kampala. Back in 2010 when we started, it would take 18 days. Now you can get a container there in around 6 days. That's a huge revolution.
This reducing of cost should impact the consumer directly. Otherwise, if it's captured by one of the actors and not cascaded to the final consumer, we have lost the game. And that's why we need a coordination between all the actors, among all the actors, to get the best efficiency.
The trade facilitation agreement, we believe, is worth probably about $100 billion to the world economy, of which 10 billion will accrue to Africa alone. This will make a very big difference to developing countries. That's why it's so important.
The average implementation of WTO trade facilitation measures across developing countries in Asia Pacific already exceeds about 50%. The full implementation across region will result in 60 to 17% of the reduction in trade cost on average.
People's mindset has changed. In the past, customs traditionally is more on fiscal agency, collect revenue. But now customers' mindset is that we have to contribute to economic competitiveness by streamlining border procedures. And of course, in the end, it will improve revenue collection by enlarging the tax base.
And just remember that relatively small changes can make a very big difference. If we take Trademark East Africa, the use of innovative SMS messaging, texting for most of us in order to deal with non-tariff barriers, that has cut the number of complaints and disputes by nearly half. That makes a difference to the entire enterprise.
We are particularly engaged in the effective implementation of sanitary and phytosanitary measures to facilitate safe trade. They ensure that products can win the confidence of consumers and importing countries. SPS should be seen not as a challenge, but as an opportunity, particularly for developing countries, to increase their exports.
The question, of course, is it possible to reduce SPS and trade cost while also ensuring health protection? Essentially, safety and efficiency are not mutually exclusive. They are mutually supportive. The key issue is that the same techniques and approaches are suitable for dealing with both.
The reality is that more often, the measures that are implemented are not based on risk, are subjective. Where there are more than two options, it's not necessarily the least restrictive option that is applied. And 3, the administrative costs around those controls are more cumbersome than they should be. So the result of that is a lot of our SMEs are locked within domestic borders and are not able to participate effectively in regional supply chains.
The big challenge as I see it is that the private sector has embraced the SPF agreement. We've embraced Codex, OIE, IPPC. We need to continue to work together to get national governments to do the same and have their national legislation based on these principles.